The mountains run for thousands of miles along the spine of this thin country that's perched on the edge of the world. They're almost always in sight, standing high above all that has been built by humankind. I've come a long way, but I like it here. I like the free art. And the public dogs. In the beginning, I bought this camera so as not to forget this place where I was born. The way it looks, sounds, feels. And so I would not forget meeting you for the first time. But to look for one's father in a country of 19 million is no easy task, nor is comparing a 20-year-old photograph with people I see in the street. Thankfully, I managed to save my birth certificate from the invasion of moths, so I have narrowed it down to this town, with a population of a mere 120,000, which is much less counting and therefore much more suitable for the amateur detective. I figured I had better start at the beginning, if I had any hope of finding you. This is the hospital where I was born. My mother told me that on the morning after my birth you arrived outside her hospital window on the street below. You were overjoyed, but unfortunately you'd gone out drinking the night before and the celebration had left you with no money to pay the hospital bill. So we had to stay there a few more days while you found some cash. We lived in a shed at the bottom of your parents' garden. It's here that I spent the first few months of my life. When I was growing up, I used to think that you were the captain of the moon, that it was your job to lift the moon up into the sky every night, and that was why you were gone. There's always been something about the moon that makes me feel lonely and whole at the same time. In spite of how small and separate from each other we might feel, all living things are connected, one way or another. What I do know about you is limited. I know that you loved to play music and it was the greatest joy in your life. I know that you were one of 19 children, that you grew up under the shadow of a military dictatorship that did unthinkable things. I know this heavily limited your life chances. I know that you didn't help yourself much either. I know that you were an alcoholic, a bad-tempered, violent alcoholic. And that's why we left. My mother and I, returning to her home country on the other side of the world. I know also that you let us go, eventually, knowing it to be for the best. It's strange how being from two different places leaves you feeling like you don't belong anywhere at all, left to wander this life on earth, searching for something that can't be found. I grew up without your language. The little I know, I've learned only recently, in the hope of talking with you. But it's helped with my investigations too. I spoke to some musicians I found playing in the street. They recognised the picture I had of you, and so I found myself here. You're not the way I imagined. They told me that it was the alcohol that killed you in the end. I had hoped you might have tamed your demons by now, but they seem to have won their battle over you, in this life at least. I thought that coming here would be like coming home, but it wasn't. Seeing the life you must have lived, caught between the rocks of addiction and poverty, I'm grateful for what I escaped. I feel your violence here too. Even from beyond the grave, your violence was somehow able to strike me. Escaping with my life for a second time, I decided to move on. And so I've found myself wandering the rest of this thin country, in the hope of finding something else that feels familiar. Something more than you or I, something in the air or in the sky perhaps. This is the land where my ancestors lived, and in spite of everything I feel connected to them. I think I can say that all this is for the best. This way you can forever remain a dream, something lucid or possibly even beautiful. Forever a possibility of what could have been. Not that we have the choice either way now. In light of the circumstances, I decided to make this film for you, to show you that I did come looking, in the end, and because I have no other way of speaking with you. I hear that scientists are making great strides in proving the possibility of reincarnation. Well, the spiritual ones anyway, so maybe one day you'll see this film, while living in your new body, and a distant part of you will remember. Maybe our paths will cross and we'll share a drink sometime. Then again, maybe not. Seeing as your drinking is what got us into this mess to begin with. Not that I blame you, I don't. I see that yours was a life circumstance destined for pain. Perhaps I better avoid going into bars then, just in case I bump into the reincarnated version of you and we end up in a drinking game. Although it would have been good to speak together. Even just once. I'm sure that you had things you wanted to say too. I am sorry I didn't come looking in time. But it seems that that was a blessing too. I escaped you. And if I have children of my own, I will be everything to them that you were not to me. And we shall see what will become of me. Could have been more keen, might have got lucky, but you are dust. In God I have to trust. I only know you as the man who chose my name. Apart from that, it is just stories of pain that I can't change. The suffering makes us who we are anyway. Think I have to put you down either way, so I can change. So